All right, cool. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rated M for Podcast, your new favorite video game podcast. I'm your host, Drew, and today is September 14th. Always have to check the date. What's wrong with me? I'm joined, as always, by my homies, Rory.
What's up, everybody?
Rory? I always, garble your name. It's terrible. And Sean Messler.
Oh, that was a better intro than I deserve.
I gotta give you some wrestling intro.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounded like. I was just sort of imagining fireworks exploding on either side of him. He's hoisting his belt in the air.
No. It's Sean though. There's pomp and circumstance. People are going crazy. There's fireworks and stuff, and Sean's just lazily walking out. What the fuck is everybody's problem? I'm just gonna go beat this guy up.
Shorts and his thong sandals.
Yeah, just
I am a heel.
Yeah, just sloughing out, just glaring at everyone, fuck all of you people. People wearing 8-bit shirts. He's like, your shirt is stupid.
Some kid reaches out to touch him, and he flicks his cigarette right in the kid's face.
Don't fucking touch me, kid.
That sounds like something I would do.
It does, doesn't it? What would be your intro music? Some obscure
I have
song
thought
that no
long
one
and
knows.
hard about this, Drew.
Really? All right, good.
I have
Lay
thought
it on
long
me.
and hard about this.
Lay it on me.
I probably, even though it's not my favorite band, I think there's a song by the Cro-Mags called We Gotta Know, and it just has a really good intro that I
Yeah.
think that would be a good intro.
I think my intro music would be Adidas by Korn. Or Twist by Korn. I think that'd be more interesting. Twist is a nice 48-second romp of nothingness. I think it'd be great.
Nice.
What about you, Rory? What would your intro music for your professional wrestling career
Man,
be?
that's a tough choice. That's a tough choice for me. But the first song that came into my head was March of the Pigs by Nine Inch Nails.
Oh, nice. Well, wait, doesn't that kind of start off a little weird though? It's just the
Yeah, it's all instrumental at the beginning with that dun, dun, anyway. Or maybe Heresy by
I'm
from
thinking
Downward Spiral.
Yeah, I like Heresy. I was actually thinking Mr. Self-Destruction. Though all these songs are all on Downward Spiral. So everyone go listen to Nine Inch Nails.
Good
Downward
album.
Spiral.
I would boo you guys just on your entrance music alone.
Sure, of course. Yeah, no, we would expect no difference. You'd be up there on
I
stage.
hated Rob Van Dam because he used to come out to Pantera.
I can't
come
win
on,
with
man.
Sean, man. I can't win.
Pantera is so good. Becoming a new level.
No.
Yeah, oh yeah. Cowboys from Hell. We're taking
I hate
over
them.
this town. All right. So this is a video game podcast, believe it or not, and we're going to switch things up a bit because we're mostly going to be talking about what we have been playing, which is Destiny. We're going to kick things off a little bit and just touch a little bit on some news, just so that people might want to know what we think about this stuff. GTA 5 release date. It's in November. I expected this. I actually thought it was going to be in November. I know there was a lot of rumors about it being in October. I thought that was way too early. So, what does it release next to, Sean? It releases on the same day as Dragon Age, I want to say?
No, Far Cry 4. Dragon Age, I think, is the week before.
I feel like there was something else besides Far Cry that comes out the same
Or maybe
day.
Far Cry does. No, maybe it does. Because I'm not paying attention to Dragon Age.
Yeah.
I'm never going to buy that game.
I
So
want to say it comes out the same day as Dragon Age as well, which all those games are thematically very different. But I think the point that that a lot of us have kind of picked up on is, all these games are huge time sinks. They require lots and lots of time. So if your average consumer is going to go to the store and they're going to see a new game come out, and they're going to be like, wait a minute, I don't have 7,000
What was
hours
the,
between these three games.
What was the reveal date for Assassin's Creed? That's not dropping that date, is it?
that's the
No, I think
11th.
it's
They're releasing.
earlier in- yeah.
Both Assassin's Creed are releasing on the 11th.
Yeah, so it's like the week before, or 2 weeks before. Okay, so November 18th is Dragon Age. Yeah, I think that's the date for GTA and Far Cry, right? So, I think that's going to be interesting. I think we're all happy that it's coming, but I don't think it matters where it lands. Really, I think it's such an atomic bomb that it affects the weeks before and the weeks after. Unless it released in late December, I don't think it would have there's going to be casualties no matter what. One interesting thing about this piece of information, though, is the fact that the PC release has been pushed to next year. Did we get a date for that? It's February, right?
January 25th.
I thought it was January.
Is it January? Oh, okay. I thought it was moving to February.
Yeah, it's January.
With all the other games. Okay, January.
No, it's January.
So that's not bad. Is that on top of anything? Oh, Saints Row 4. It releases the same day as Saints Row 4.
I think that'll be okay.
Yeah, but that's PC though.
Yeah, but still. Well, does the new thing of Saints Row come out on PC as well that day?
I mean, I don't know. I don't follow PC releases at all.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Okay. Well, anyways, GTA coming. It's finally confirmed. Finally got some dates. Interesting. What was the other piece? Oh, MPD numbers. Sean, do you have anything you want to say about any of those? Was there anything specific other than like everybody's selling like hotcakes?
No. Well, I mean, okay. Some of the language is weird. Okay, so PS4 sells the most. Xbox says they continued to double their sales, but apparently they've confirmed that they sold 150,000 units. So that's weird to me because that's not a high number, but that means double of what it sold the month before was 75. I mean, 75, and they said that the month before they sold double what they sold before. So that means that they had a bad month in May, and probably because they announced the price drop, which again, yeah, I mean, the biggest thing to me is that Nintendo's back to selling like shit. The Wii U is selling like shit again. 56,000 units.
Good thing they have a new handheld coming, I guess. Apparently that'll help. I don't know. Who knows? Let's see what else. The Xbox One came out in Japan and no one noticed.
Well, back to
well, a lot of people noticed on this side.
Yeah, a lot of people noticed and no one bought it.
Call of Duty is still in the top 10.
Ghosts? That's crazy.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's insane.
So even weirder, Microsoft announced new bundles for the Xbox 360, one of them being a blue exclusive Xbox 360 with Call of Duty Ghosts and Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which is just weird. Like, I didn't check the date for when those come out, but like, who's buying that? I don't...
I mean, I get, as somebody who worked at GameStop, you used to work in a video game store too, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know that those are like the lower income people that are getting it late in the generation, and they get 2 games with it, and it's like, oh, I'm getting my little son his first video game console or daughter, you know what I mean? Like, they're just getting that first entry level console. So
I can actually picture like actual customers who came in and like they would be. So I used to work at a GameStop that still sold PS2 stuff, which is less and less interesting. Wait. Someone's putting in the chat that there's no optical drive for those 360s. I don't believe that at all. Someone look that up. Debunk that. I don't believe that at all. That would be a huge story.
Is he talking about the like the optical
optical
audio
port?
though input?
No optical.
Yeah.
Oh, are you? Okay, all right.
I don't think it's like
you meant no disk drive, and I was like, that makes no sense. Okay, yeah. So that's they're like low end versions of a 360. That makes sense. But I back to what I was saying. You know, I remember selling like tons of PS2 games and all these like crazy people coming in trying to sell their PS1s and stuff. I mean, it's crazy. So I know that is actually a large market that is just catching up, I guess. You know, that still exists. So good on Microsoft, I guess, for selling something for those people. That's weird. I don't know. It strikes me as odd. Maybe I'm just inside too much of a bubble.
Well, no, that's exactly what it is. You know, along with myself too, where I was thinking like that's odd because in my first line of thought was like, who hasn't played those games? Who's buying those games now? But Sean's absolutely right. It's just for those. Yeah. You know. Yeah.
Here's. It makes sense to me in the fact that, like, okay, here's your Xbox 360. Here's your experience with those games. Those people enjoy that experience with those games. They're potential Xbox One customers.
For sure.
That's a good point. Maybe not right now, but later on, it's all money that's coming into Microsoft's pocket, so whatever works.
And that's
you know
all,
what I mean?
that's all progress. I mean, that's all. They make money back on that instantly. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on. We mentioned Xbox. We mentioned GTA, MPD numbers. Anything else?
I haven't been following the news at all this week. Basically,
There wasn't
because
any.
I've been playing
That's why. Yeah.
I mean, I guess this could. This is the thing. Like, there's something I want to save. It's a news. It's kind of not news. No one's really reported it, but it's something we're talking about when we talk about Destiny.
Okay.
About the how divisive the game has been with the gaming press
Yeah,
and
that's definitely something
and
we'll
consumers.
bring up. Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we talk about what we played? And Sean, we're going to let you go first because you've actually played some games other than Destiny this week, which just people's minds are blown by this. Not to mention,
Are you gonna?
Not to mention, there are games that no one else is playing because they're not out yet.
All right. So this past Wednesday, I was fortunate enough to go to the GameStop Expo down at the Anaheim Convention Center, and as someone who's attended E3 and now this, I gotta say, I kind of like this better. It lacks all the pomp and circumstance. There's only Ubisoft really. Ubisoft and Microsoft kind of had biggish booths, like where there was a little, they had display stations, like there was a Sunset Overdrive display, there was like, stuff like that, like a Halo Master Chief Collection display. But like for the most part, it was pretty much just like tables with like,
So no giant
TVs.
Evolve, monster statue and like
no, nothing.
no
Very
Destiny
very
Sparrow
few
to climb
things
on
like
and get a
that.
picture with.
Very few things. I mean, the Warner Brothers booth had a Batmobile, which you're going to see pictures. I'm going to post that. That was pretty fucking
sweet.
cool. And then they had a bunch of weird custom-made Batman outfits that would have made CJ blow a gasket because one of them was like, and not in a good way. One of them was like ice cream, like looked like he was an ice cream cone. Like the cape was ice cream, and then it was melted, like cherry ice cream on top. It was really weird.
That's so weird.
But yeah, so I went there, and the thing I liked about it is that there wasn't a lot of people there. It was packed. I mean, there was a lot of people, but it wasn't like you couldn't get around. The longest line I waited on was to play Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and that was about 45 minutes. And the reason for that is it was multiplayer, and they only had 12 stations, so 66. So it was like, yeah, they didn't have a lot. But yeah, so I played. That was the first thing I did. I played Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. I went right for that line, and I wanted to see it. And so, in terms of movement, it doesn't feel like Titanfall. It's slow. It's still slower than Titanfall.
Really?
Yeah, the movement kind of feels like Destiny, but not as boosted. You know what I mean? Like when you're double jumping, it doesn't give you that range that you get when you're playing Destiny. Yeah, you still double jump. You can still dash side to side, and the only thing about that environment, and this is something that I don't feel like a game like Call of Duty lends itself to playing like that.
Yeah.
Is that you can't get into like the perks and the score streaks and all that stuff. You don't really know what that stuff is, and you didn't really have a chance
so
to
they
go
don't have
into.
like characters that you can just play as to have all these different.
They
crazy
do,
things unlocked?
They do, but it's like, that's you still can't really get into how the moment-to-moment gameplay is going to be affected by those things because you don't really know how they work. You know what I mean? Like
fair enough.
you get a UAV,
Did
you
they
know what
have,
the UAV does, but then
handlers,
there's
like,
other.
Like telling you what to do and how to double jump and all that stuff.
Nope.
Really?
Nope. You just went in there.
let you
Nope.
run in
You just.
Ah.
Yep. You just went in there, and that's kind of speaks to how good Call of Duty controls is that it's easy to pick up and play. And this is the same
Sure.
thing I felt when
Yeah, that's a good
Titanfall. I didn't go through Titanfall's tutorial stuff. I just jumped right in and played
Right.
because I understood it, and that's how this was. You just go in and play it. But yeah, so I mean, it feels like Call of Duty. I like it. I'm gonna enjoy playing it. I still feel like you die too quick. We played team deathmatch, and we played uplink. My team was terrible at uplink. I was trying to defend, and I did my best, but they were the other team was coordinated, I don't know if they were communicating or something, but they were coordinated, and they just destroyed us. My team was terrible. I led both teams, led both rounds. So that was a cool but shitty way to start the day. Then after that, I went to play Evolve, and I gotta say, I'm playing Evolve made me very sad that it's not coming out next month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that game is awesome.
It's in good shape.
It is. Oh my god, it's so much fun, and it makes so much sense. Like, and everybody, my team luckily was very coordinated. We were communicating, and everybody did their role really well. So we wound up beating the monster, but the people before us, they lost to the monster. So it doesn't feel like this. So you can definitely see how it won't be this one-sided affair whenever you're playing it.
Okay.
But yeah, it was just incredible. It's really hard to parse out in language when we're talking about it. It's just something you have to experience.
Did you hear other people talking about it while you were there? Were people hyped on it?
Everybody seemed to be really into that game. It was fun. They had it set up in two places. They had it in 2K had a booth, and they had a lot of Evolve set up. They had like a lot of stations for Evolve. This one only had one, so it was like 4 on one side, and then on the other side was the monster. And that game is going to be incredible. I can't wait, and I'm very sad that it's not coming out. But if it's going to make that game even better, then I'm more excited for it.
I definitely look forward to checking it out.
And the next thing I played was The Order, and that is a gorgeous game. But
yeah,
and I'm okay. Here's what happened. I played it, and when I was done, there was a Sony guy standing there, and he said, "What'd you think?" And I said, the first things out of my mouth was the AI was terrible. And that's the more than any other thing. Like, it's gorgeous, but the thing that stood out to me the most was how bad the AI was. And granted, they said it's a 5-month-old build, but I still don't understand why you're still showing this old build. If you know what I mean, like, it's bad. The AI is bad. It was like playing.
TGS?
It was playing. I think this was the Gamescom build, which was still the older build. But this, it's just like.
That's been the never-ending story with this game, though, is that they're never putting their best foot forward, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
And it's like, it doesn't have me worried, because if it's a bad game, it's a bad game. It won't be the first time that there's a bad game. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's such a technical masterpiece in terms of looks and aesthetic and lighting and even shooting the weapons is really cool. Like the thermite rifle, you shoot it and then you shoot a flare and it ignites the area, and so it kills all the guys.
Yeah,
and I was doing it the opposite. I would be like, it was so easy that I was like shooting the flare first and then trying to catch it with the thermite, and then like just like and I just blew through it.
That's cool.
But yeah, that was the thing that stood out to me, was that the AI was really bad. And then after that, I played Bloodborne.
Oh, right. Sweet.
That is a gorgeous game, but that game is not for me. It's
Did you get your ass kicked?
It's just it's not that I got my ass kicked. I just didn't have fun playing it. I don't like hack and slash games, and that's pretty much what this game is. It's like dodge slash. It's just that's just not my kind of game. But if you're into that kind of thing, then I think you'll enjoy it. It's a really gorgeous game.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I might rent it, but I definitely am not excited for that game at all.
Okay.
But here's where I was. Here's my highlight of my day, and it's all downhill from here, folks. So while I was playing waiting for Bloodborne to load, I looked over. I noticed on the next row over, I saw this game, and I was like, "What is that?" And I looked, and it was Until Dawn, which you guys know from talking to me that I was very excited about that game. So as soon as I was done with Bloodborne, I went over and played Until Dawn, and I have a write-up coming up on We the Nerdy that should go up tomorrow. I love it. It's everything I want it to be. It's a slasher movie played like Heavy Rain.
Really?
And yeah, the only thing is you don't have to press 2 buttons to walk. Like, you just press the stick in the direction you want to go, and you'll go. Pre-rendered backgrounds like Resident Evil. So it kind of controls the camera angles and stuff like that, so you can see what they want you to see, which is cool.
Okay.
The acting is bad but good. You know what I mean? Like
Sure,
it's
yeah.
not awful, but it's like that middle of the road. It feels like they did it on purpose. You know what I mean? Like if you're really into slasher movies,
It's quality
you get-
acting, but it's like the writing is bad because it's supposed to be.
Yes, and I like it. It's not bad. It's weird. It's hard to explain unless you really have an affinity for slasher movies, where like, the one guy's overly aloof and dismisses everything, and the other
Oh,
girl's
yeah.
overly panicky about everything.
No, I love like Scream, Friday the 13th, Halloween.
Yeah.
Like some of those are some of like my favorite movies. Like I love all that stuff.
Yes.
The cheesy like cliche. Oh, these two are having sex, so they're clearly gonna get killed because sex
Yes,
equals
yes,
death.
and it's like,
there's one stoner guy.
don't
He's gonna get
separate-
killed because he's dumb or whatever. Played by Rory.
And the thing is, I know they talked about how there's hundreds of different endings, and you kind of see that in how that could possibly play out in the demo, but you don't get to see the repercussions. So it's because it's brief. It's a 9-hour game, and I got to play it for like 15 minutes. But it very much, if you're into Heavy Rain, it's an adventure game, very much an adventure game. So it has that kind of feel to it, where you interact with objects, minor puzzle solving. You can definitely tell this used to be a move game, because while you're walking, if you move the controller up, they'll aim the flashlight up, so you can see things up and around. And wherever you move the controller, that's where the flashlight aims. So you can definitely see the remnants of the move controller control scheme in there. And it's just, I just love the atmosphere, and I love Heavy Rain. I love slasher movies. This game was made for me, so I'm really excited about that. I'm gonna blow through this a couple of things. The last thing I want to really talk about, the two things I wanted to talk about. I'm gonna start with the better of the two, and then I'm gonna end with the worst thing I played.
Sounds right.
So, Sunset Overdrive, I got to play that, but it wasn't the campaign. It was the multiplayer. Did you play that, Rory?
I don't think.
Yeah,
that,
that's all.
right?
That's all they've really been letting people get their
Oh,
hands
really?
on in group
The,
settings.
what's that
is
called?
that-
It's like something chaos or whatever.
Well,
the
no,
Chaos
this was
Squad.
called.
Yeah, it's like
I've seen them.
8 players and you're fighting off waves of guys, right?
It was called Night Defense, and you're fighting off waves of guys. I like the way the game looks. I didn't enjoy myself playing it, but that's not the game's fault. I don't think. I think it was the way it was set up, because they turned all the volume down for the game and just had the guy from Microsoft chatting with you
That sounds terrible.
and telling you how to play the game. So it wasn't a good, fun experience. But it's a wave-based kind of thing. But the game looks good. I'll play it. I was hoping I'd get to play the campaign, but I wanted to get hands on with it a little bit. And then there's a couple of things. I played Lords of the Fallen, and I played Dying Light. Lords of the Fallen is more
A whole lot
hack
of
and
meh.
slash type Dark Souls type thing. I'm not into it. I was really into Dying Light. I think Dying Light's going to be fun. It's not going to be this groundbreaking game, but the controls are fun, and I like Dead Island, so I'm going to like that. But the worst thing I played, hands down, was
I know
The
where you're-
Evil Within.
I was trying to think this
The
whole time.
Evil
I was
Within-
like, what's the worst thing he played? And then as you were saying, I was like, oh, that's right. So tell us about it. I
Man,
have no
that
idea what
game,
was wrong with this game.
Go easy,
It's
Sean. Don't break
just-
my heart
I
too
mean-
bad right now, okay?
Yeah, a lot of people want to hear
It's
about
fucking-
this.
It's just so antiquated, man. Like it just feels
Really?
like it just feels like 5 years too late. It feels like Resident Evil 4.5, which is cool, but that game was awesome then.
I think
You know what I
people
mean? Like
wanted
if they released Resident Evil
4.5 and then Resident Evil 5 came out and it wasn't Resident Evil 4.5. It was like Resident Evil 4, but not as good. It's like Resident
And
Evil
that's the-
3.5.
And that's the thing, like it just doesn't, I don't know, man. The camera's bad. Like you're getting attacked by enemies, and you can't, like the camera doesn't give you a good angle, so you're getting wailed, and it's just like, I don't know, man. It felt clunky. It wasn't suspenseful. I just
I wanted to
was
ask,
more
is it
annoyed with
boring?
it. I only played a brief part of the demo, but I was just not impressed. Like this game did not leave an impression on me
I was
at all.
watching what's his name? The head of Bethesda, or at least the head of the part of Bethesda that's over this game. Like him do a live stream of The Evil Within, and he looked bored to tears. And he was trying. He was like, all right, I'm gonna play this game, and it's gonna be scary, and I'm gonna get my butt scared off just for you guys. And then I'm watching him play it, and it's just like so dull. And maybe it was because I was watching this guy play it, but I mean, it did not feel interesting, and I don't know why. I mean, it looks like in the trailers and stuff, it looks like it would have a great amount of atmosphere, but if it sounds like the way that the game plays and the way that the atmosphere and the gameplay is delivered to you kind of breaks it. Is that accurate, or is there more to it than that?
No, it's not that. It just feels like Mikami is trying to ape himself instead of bringing something truly new to the genre and blowing the doors off of it the way Resident Evil 4 did. It just feels like he's treading the same ground, trying to stick to survival horror. And yes, the ammo stuff is low, but and the worst part is that it's not a fast-paced game, so you'll get pretty far and then you'll die, and then you're back to start the whole fucking thing over again.
Trudge through
the whole section, and I'm not into that. Like, no, thank you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I hate repetition as a general rule. And this was just like, by the third time, I was like, I just don't want to do this. This isn't even fun for me. The frame rate was bad. Even at 30 frames per second, it was chugging. Like, there would be parts where I was like, why is this so choppy? Mm-hmm. And I could be the build. I'm not going to fault it, but it's just like the game comes out in a month, and this is the first time I've gone hands on it after hearing about it and seeing it at events for like a year and a half.
Right.
It just doesn't. I'm really, really worried about that game to the point where it's like I have a feeling that game's going to get like 6s.
Okay.
Like, I don't think that game's going to review well at all.
We had some people in the Facebook
so
group.
about the same scores that Destiny's getting.
Oh man, that Destiny game.
No, but I think this is going to be pretty unanimous.
We had some people in the Facebook group asking if this might be Wolfenstein syndrome. Do you think it's too late now for that to count? Like, it's too late
Here's
in the
the
day,
thing.
right?
Here's the
Wolfenstein
thing.
came around for you before the game came out.
Here's the thing. When I got to see a year and a half ago, I got to play Wolfenstein, and I got to see a demo of Evil Within. I couldn't play it, but I saw it, and I was underwhelmed with what I saw, and it just continued to playing it. With Wolfenstein, when I played it, I got it. It was awesome. I knew it was going to be awesome. When people were doubting that game, I was like, you're crazy. It plays great. It's going to be great. And it came out, and it was great. I think it's just going to be, it's going to be a middling game. And some people are going to be like, kind of have rose tinted glasses on and forgive it for its shortcomings because it's Mikami and it's back to like that Resident Evil style game. But a bad game is a bad game no matter what color glasses you're wearing.
Right.
So, and I don't think that's going to be a good game.
Well, that was fun.
But people still might enjoy the experience, I guess. Like, I'm a huge survival horror fan guy. And I think you are, Sean, too. But I totally understand like where you're coming from with the game. And I haven't played it myself either. But I'm still interested to check it out. And just the severe lack of those type of games these days anyway, even if it is like purely, pure mediocrity like across the board. I could still see myself having an enjoyable time with it. But it might be an absolute turd and I might hate it too. But I guess time will tell.
Here's the thing, though. I've known you for about half a year, or maybe a little bit more. Have you ever absolutely hated a game? Like, absolutely hated it? Where you've just been like, this was shit?
Not in a long
heard you say
time.
those words
I've disliked stuff. No, but I always find enjoyment because usually I'm not even playing a game that like doesn't interest me, right? So if I find enough interest to play it in the first place, I usually find things that I somewhat enjoy about it. I might not recommend it to friends. I might not rate it highly, but I might find some enjoyment out of it for sure. But it's been a while since I played a game where I was like, I hate this game.
Do you ever play any of the later Tony Hawk games?
The last one I played was Project 9.
Project 8.
Project 8, and that was a good game.
8?
Yeah, that was the last good one.
Underground was
Here's
like my
the thing.
favorite Jayhawks.
Yeah.
I didn't have time. Alien Isolation would have been the next thing that I played. Oh wait,
Oh,
they
yeah.
did have a big giant alien egg there. I forgot. 2K and Ubisoft seem to be the only ones who are like, we're gonna show up and make a big deal about this.
Yeah.
I mean, not Sega and Ubisoft, but yeah, like but I was gonna play that, but you played that, and I feel like with PT and Alien, I feel like they're doing a better job of creating that horror atmosphere and suspense.
Horror has
where this is
changed,
not
You know,
the
Outlast.
horror.
Oh, totally,
the horror,
totally.
yeah.
I'm
All that
super.
stuff.
I'm super stoked on that stuff, and when that stuff comes, I'm going to eat it up, and I hope it changes the way that survival horror is looked at as well. I think it's just because like I'm clawing for it, right? Like I want more. I thought Dead Space was going to be that series that I clung to, and it continued on as like my new Resident Evil, but
Nah, they Michael Bay'd that
didn't
shit.
be the case. They fucked that up big time.
All right. Well,
Um,
let's move on from this. Rory, why don't you let us know what you played?
Well,
Oh,
one
okay.
last thing. That was hold on. That was
for it.
everything that I played at thing. But I wanted to say that I finished Diablo,
Oh. You
Yeah,
finished
finished
it? Like you're done with
the
it?
Reaper of Souls.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I kind of have to be because I rented it, but I finished all the story stuff.
Yeah.
And now I'm playing Destiny, so I don't know if I'll get back to Diablo. But
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, I finished Diablo.
Cool. Cool. That's a great game.
And that last boss was a motherfucking bitch.
Dude, right? Like the bosses in the Reaper of Souls stuff are way better than the original content. They really stepped it up.
He was so hard.
That's what she said. So
But I also put it on expert.
nice. Rory, what did you play besides Destiny?
Oh, nothing, man. That's
Okay.
basically been the game I've been playing since Tuesday.
All right.
I may have dabbled in some old stuff beforehand, but no, Destiny is what I've been playing.
All right,
It's very rare that I only
the-
play one game.
We've gotten all of the superfluous stuff out of the way. The rest of this show is all Destiny, all night, 24/7. It's going to be a 48-hour podcast.
Fuck that.
To be by yourself for 48 hours.
So let me just start with, I want to hear your guys' like launch experiences. So Rory, what was your launch experience? Did you go somewhere? Did you prep for this? Did you take some time off? How did that go?
No, didn't take time off, and I'm sort of done with like going to midnight launches now. Like I used to do that quite often, and I've been doing it less and less as the years go by because the
don't have a
reality
bar
is there's
at
like
GameStop,
ample
so.
well, there's ample supplies of discs now too.
Sure,
The only
yeah.
game I've run into a problem. I've mentioned this before was The Last of Us, and it's very rare though that I can't walk into a store and buy a game. In this instance, though, I actually pre-downloaded and pre-bought it digitally so that it was ready, so that come midnight I wasn't having to come home and pop a disc in if I did happen to pick it up at midnight and then wait for the install and such. I wanted to at 12:01 a.m. be able to flip the switch and jump into Destiny with my friends, and that's what I did. So good experience on launch day. I had a good time. Servers were running good. My friends were all there right at 12:01. They digitally downloaded it too, and we've been having a good time.
All right. So Sean, what was your midnight launch or your launch experience?
It wasn't. I made a vow that I wouldn't touch Destiny until I finished Diablo. So I didn't
Okay,
touch
so you still
Destiny
had
until.
some catch up to do.
Yeah, I didn't play Destiny until I didn't. Well, I played. I rented it, so I got it on Wednesday. I played up to the where I got left off in the beta on Thursday, just so that where I could, when I sat down this weekend to play it, I would be where I left off. So I blew
okay.
through that stuff, and then I wanted to just start the game proper from there. But yeah, I had to finish Diablo first. I don't like. I'm not like I can't do
Like
more than one
multi-game?
game at once.
Yeah, I know
Like,
what you mean.
Yeah, I don't do that. I just
Yeah,
I want to be focused on that game.
Alex and I went to my buddy Alex from No Doors and over on We the Nerdy. I went to his place down in Virginia, but the day or so before that, because it came out Monday night, so Saturday and Sunday, like all day and night, we plowed through the rest of Diablo 3, and we got mostly through Reaper of Souls. I don't think we completed it. I want to say we got through all of the bosses until Malthael, and I think we need to do some stuff and then go face Malthael and finish it. But we got pretty darn close, and close enough for me to be like, okay, well, you've seen the majority of this game, so I'm happy with it now. Because this was his first time playing through it, and he's a longtime Diablo fan. That was a lot of fun, kind of hearing him react to... My wife just beat the first boss, everybody. Congratulations, honey. In Destiny, she's playing right now. Anyways, that was cool. We got that out of the way, and then so my launch experience was Monday. Got off work, drove a few hours down to Virginia, hooked up with my buddy Alex, met up with Mike from the Rated M for Podcast community, and we sat down and recorded the first half of We the Gamer Cast, and got relatively drunk. Oh, I actually have a funny story that I'll tell here. I had to move my car because Alex's apartment complex requires you to have a parking pass, and even though he knew like weeks to months in advance that I was going to be there, he didn't get me one. So I had to move my car, and we're moving. This is like 11:30 at night. We're pulling out of the parking lot, and there was a cop, and he's like, "Yeah, see, good thing you moved your car. The cop's not going to ticket you." Cop pulls up behind me. I'm like, "Oh, watch this. This motherfucker's going to pull me over." I drive out to the street and flip a Yui to park across the street, and he like immediately pulls a Yui with me and turns his lights on. So I'm like, awesome. Turn off the car, everything. He walks up and he taps on the window and he says, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And I was like, "Well, you didn't, because I was parking, but why are we here?" And he's like, "You got a light out." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I know that. Yeah, I have my rear tail lights out." And he's like, "All right, well, I'm gonna need your license and all this stuff." Me and Alex are like, "What the fuck is going on?" I think Mike like took off because he was moving his car too. And the cop comes back and he asked me, "Do you have anything illegal in your car? What are you guys doing tonight? What's going on here?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just hanging with my friend. He lives right here. We have to move my car because parking pass or whatever." This cop didn't even know about that parking pass. Apparently there is a like really bad drug problem in Alex's neighborhood. And he's like, "Yeah, we got this really bad drug problem. Hey, do you mind if we run the dogs around your car? We have new dogs and we want to train them." And I was like, "Oh, sure, yeah, go for it." So he's like, "Yeah, can you roll your windows up a little bit so we can do that?" I was like, "Yeah, man, yeah, sure, whatever." And I'm just like laughing my ass off, like, is this really happening right now? So they run the dogs around and stuff, and then we had a moment where the guy in the car in front of us. So the car parked in front of where I parked. This guy comes out of nowhere because we're not next to housing. We're next to like a school, like an elementary school. We're just parked on the street in front of it. And this dude comes up from the school, like out of the dark. And he looks like some yo-boy drug dealer, and he's driving like this Honda Civic, this lowered with rims and like tinted windows and stickers all over it. And I'm like, "Dude, seriously?" And you're asking me about my, like, anyways. So this dude goes and lays in his parking, or in his parked car, like in the passenger seat, like with the door hanging open, and just hangs out there, almost as if like he saw the cops and he was like, "Well, I'm gonna go protect my shit and go sit in my car," you know. And so me and Alex were wondering, if you have like a drug dog running around a car, and then he moves on to the car in front of it, like, does that guy get in trouble? Like, if he's like running around my car and then he smells drugs in the car in front of me and then moves on to that car, like, I'm good, right? I'm not in trouble for that, right? So that was an event. And then we got back together with Mike and everything after the cops left. Nothing came of that. And Mike was like, "What the hell happened?" I don't know. So we walked down to Press Start Gaming down in I think this is Front Royal, Virginia, and it's like a mom and pop shop. They have PS2 games and PS1 games. They sell Final Fantasy VII for like $30 or some shit, which seems a lot to me, but I don't know. So they had a Halo running on a big TV, and they had a big old couch with everybody playing on it, and they had a few people there. I posted a picture, and people commented on the fact that there weren't really a lot of people around in the picture. And I was a little disappointed by that too. I had hoped that like every single nerd.
Weren't really a lot of people around. There was nobody around. It was just you guys in the biggest mom and pop store I've ever seen.
Everyone else was off to the right.
I thought that was a GameStop.
It wasn't. It was it's a Press Start. It used to be a play and trade.
There's so much space.
Yeah, it was originally a play and trade, and then it became a mom and pop shop. But so Here's the other part of my launch night. I was getting a limited edition, and I was in line, and people are picking up their Ghost editions. Apparently, Ghost editions, like everywhere, were fucked up. Like the boxes were all cracked open and stuff. You could just kind of like peel off the side of it, and they were all jacked up. And they came that way from the retailer. I don't know how that happened, but Alex's was jacked up. He got a 360 version of the Ghost edition, and then like the girl in front of me got a PS4 version. Hers was jacked up, and the guy behind the counter is like, "Hey, this is, you know, what it normally looks like." He was like, all of those were not in bubble wrap except this one was, and he holds up the Xbox One version, and I'm like, oh man, some lucky fuck's gonna get that. He was like, actually, this is for sale, and I was like, oh shit. I'm like, all right, well, here's $50 more. So I ended up getting that, and my Ghost Edition's like immaculate, which I'm really happy with.
That sucks about those boxes, man.
It
I
does,
would flip
dude.
the fuck out. I know people. Some people are like, it's just a box, but that's part of this like special packaging. It's a shape thing. It's
something you
something
paid
that you
for.
might even
You
want
know,
to
that's
display
what you
somewhere.
paid for.
Yeah, it's not just a box. It's not just a box.
No,
I would just
especially this
lose
one.
my shit. My broken.
Because this isn't like, if nobody's seen the Ghost Edition, it's not like just a box that you get, you know, an Xbox in or something like that. Like, this is special packaging. It's got the Vanguard emblem on it and stuff. Like, it's pretty rad looking. And like the corners of theirs were all torn. But here's what's funny. Alex took a picture of his and tweeted it at Activision, and they responded, and they were like, hey, private message us a picture of it with your Twitter handle written on the side of it, or just in the picture somehow, and we'll email you. So apparently, I haven't heard anything after that, but apparently they're aware of this issue and they're responding, which is really cool, because they could just be like, oh, I don't know, your retailer fucked it up, wasn't us. So I guess they're being good about it, so that's cool. But then we got back, we recorded the second half of We the Gamercast. We were having a blast. We hopped on. I played on the 360, and am I the only person here that played on last gen consoles? Anybody else play it on the last gen?
Yeah,
yet?
I haven't.
Sean, did you play it on your PS3 or anything yet?
No, why would
Well,
I?
at the beta, I didn't know if you checked the beta out on your 360.
Nah, I'm not the curious type.
I know. Anyways, so I played it on the 360, and wow, like you might as well just. It's like playing a next gen game with drunk goggles on, or like with a watercolor texture over the color. It's so muddy.
But
the draw distance.
But
is bad.
resolution doesn't matter, man.
No, man, none of those. There were no P's. There were just 0 P's. It still ran really, really smooth, though. I will give it that. They did a great job. I mean, I guess obviously that's what they did there. They compensated for the lack of visual fidelity with like a really smooth running, solid game. All the combat feels just as good as it does on the Xbox One. So I was impressed with that. But we played that for a while, and then we hit the hay. And then I took Tuesday off, so I spent all day at Alex's house just playing Destiny back and forth. Like, he played for a few missions, then I'd play some, and it was really cool. So the only other midnight launch I can think of that I'm going to go to this year is probably Halo, and I'm planning on going up to Pennsylvania and doing some like special community stuff for that. So that'll be exciting. So yeah, all right. So it's out. We have it. So first off, Sean, what level are you? What race are you? And what class are you?
Just to touch on one thing, I'm sorry I didn't mention this before, but I think you would be pleased about this. I didn't play it at GameStop, but I saw Halo 2 running multiplayer.
Oh.
And it looked gorgeous.
Really?
Like, I mean, obviously it was one of the maps that they cleaned up. And it ran and looked gorgeous, so I think you guys are all going to be very, very, very pleased with that game.
Yeah, I'm excited.
But so I am a female awoken warlock, and I am level 13 currently. I just did one of the moon strike missions.
Yeah, man, that moon strike.
Well, there's two.
Not on the moon.
Sean, did you say you're a female awoken warlock? Sorry, I just missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
a female. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The other one's patrol. Yeah, I'm a female awoken warlock. I basically recreated the character that I made on the Xbox One when I played the alpha. I mean the beta.
Yeah.
Hold on, it's my Xbox. Stop listening. Jesus Christ.
Go away. Go away, Xbox. Nobody likes you.
But yeah, it was just, I don't know, like, hold on one second. God damn it, Xbox, go back. Jesus.
Well, real quick, Rory, what level are you? What class are you? And what race are you?
I just hit level 20 last night, and like
Congratulations.
Sean, actually, I'm actually a badass female awoken, and I'm playing as a warlock.
Nice. Yeah, you look like Storm.
Warlock Master Race.
You're like purple Storm.
So does mine.
Really?
Oh, I look way more badass than Storm, man. I like shit on Storm.
Storm in the future. Storm decided not to be an X-Men anymore. She just left.
Oh, my character would just bitch slap Storm all over the place.
Well, I am a 24 human hunter because I am basically Han Solo. If Han Solo and Mal from Firefly had a baby, that'd be me.
It's so funny with your like military background. Your guys probably changed, but when I saw your dude last, I was like, man, you can tell Drew is a military guy. 'Cause
I know,
his
right?
character looks like he's just like
Yeah.
in military garb.
I got like a
essentially,
crew
yeah.
cut, and I got like it looked like somebody put tar on their fingers and just like smushed my face. Yeah, my guy's not that interesting, but I also have a Titan or an Exo Warlock that I'm going to be leveling starting this week with the Podcast Evolve guys. So that'll be interesting. So you're on the moon.
I'm
And-
off the moon. I just did that strike, but I'm in.
Oh,
I'm
you're
already
Venus now?
almost. I'm pretty much almost done with Venus.
Okay. Man, I don't even know where to start with this. Why don't we start with, do we like this game? Rory, do you like this game?
I do. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I've got problems with it, like I'm sure a lot of people do. It's not everything that I thought it might be in some regards, but none of my complaints, which we'll get to later on, impact the fun I'm actually having.
So, Sean,
So I'm
do you
having
like
a good
this
time
game?
with the game. Yes, I like it.
Yeah, I like it a lot, and the more I play it, I like it more. I mean, I was into the alpha. I mean, I obviously like this game if I played the alpha, played the beta, and then playing this. I mean, I like the gameplay loop. I like playing it. I don't mind grinding. I'm a Final Fantasy fan from way back in the day, and grinding is the name of the game
Yeah.
when you want to level up and you have to do stuff. So I don't mind doing that. I don't mind. The combat is fun enough that I don't ever feel like it's repetitive. I don't like repetition, but that's doing the same thing over and over and over again. Literally, like I have to do this one thing and I die and I do it again, die, I do it again, die, I do it again. But doing certain things in a game like that require me to have better gear or level up and stuff, that doesn't bother me.
But you're still doing the same
So,
thing over and over again.
But the gunplay is good.
But it's
Like,
not though
satisfying
because I mean
constantly.
it's not because it's not a pattern. There's no pattern to it. It's not like yeah, the guys will spawn there, but they jump around, they do other things,
The AI
and
is pretty solid.
like you might not have your super charged up, so you have to take out these guys in a different way. You know what I mean? Like, so it's that doesn't bother me because there's enough variety in how I approach each situation that I'm technically doing the same thing, but that's every video game. I mean, Mario Brothers, you're still running from left to right, jumping on turtles and Goombas to capture a flag, or jumping over obstacles. You know what I mean? Like, it's still the same thing. Yeah, this is a shooter where you're shooting things. So technically you can break it down to its most base level, and I feel like, yeah, that's repetitive, but when you're having fun doing it, it doesn't feel repetitive.
I think that's
you
the
know
number
what I mean?
one thing. You know, regardless of the argument of like semantics there, it doesn't feel repetitive, even though it requires you to do do similar actions and similar activities over and over again to get better stuff and to progress through the game. And I think that's, for this
See, for me,
type
it
of
does
game,
it.
it's really important that you nail it, that it feels good, even if you repeat yourself.
Well, that's the thing. For me, it does feel like extremely repetitive now that I've like finished the game and I'm sort of like, I've done all the strike missions, I've done patrolling. It's like, okay, well, I keep redoing it, and everything sort of plays out the same way, whether or not I've got my power charts up. I still just
like
wait.
The goal here now is to make your own objectives. You kind of have your own. You make your own plan of like, all right, well, what do I want to do next? Well, I want to link up with these guys and go do this strike and try to do it on this difficulty so I can get this kind of gear, so I can try to, like make
right, and it's not
like
taking
more
away
of a
from my
badass
fun,
or
which is
whatever,
what you were
right?
saying, as long as it's fun, right? But what you're not finding repetitive because you're having a lot of fun in it, I'm still having that same fun, but I'm personally finding it repetitive because now I'm basically literally doing the same thing with different people at different times of the day to get, hopefully, if I'm lucky, a decent drop of something I want and not something completely useless like a garment that doesn't even fit on the class that I'm using. Again, though, it's like as we talk more about Destiny, it's going to come off that like I'm more negative. Just like we're just hoping that certain things would be better, and we'll touch on those again, as I said, as we go along. But
Sure.
I'm having a fucking blast with the game. Like I think it's a good game, and I'm having a ton of fun with that game.
right.
But let's continue.
So, we'll talk about some nuts and bolts before we get into some kind of headier stuff. I really like the combat in this game, like we were just saying. I think so. All right, I'm gonna make a statement that I hope has some impact. This plays better than any Halo game I've ever played. This feels better than Halo to me as a like huge hardcore Halo guy. This blows Halo out the water as far as how much fun it feels like to be a Guardian, have these powers, have this mobility. The weapons all feel really good. The weapons don't feel as defined as a lot of the weapons in Halo, but that's obviously because you have a bajillion different kinds of this type of weapon or whatever, instead of having just the one BR or the one DMR or whatever. So that's just part of game design, but everything feels amazing.
It does.
The controls in this game are fantastic. So
that's one of my top pros. Like, well, I was gonna say that's just like quickly one of my top pros of the game. It's just that mechanically, like, it feels fantastic in your hands. Whether like you're in the Sparrow or on foot, running, casually doing stuff in the middle of an intense combat situation, like it just feels so good. That's what I couldn't get over when I first started putting a lot of hours into the game. Was just it's like a hot knife through butter, controlling those analog sticks. It's just so nice.
So one game this game's compared really closely to is Borderlands. I think this game makes Borderlands controls look like garbage. Just how well like the guns feel so much better in this game than Borderlands, and maybe that has to do more with the sound, and maybe that's just my experience with the sound kind of influencing my take on the guns. Sean, what's your take on the combat?
Well, I mean, I really enjoy the combat. I just want to, I mean, like I said, like I think the controls are really good. I think it's fun. I wish. I know this is going to sound shitty, but
Sure.
I do wish it was 60 frames per second. I feel like they could have pulled that off and had it been a little bit smoother.
Although the size of the maps makes me think that maybe would make it difficult.
That's a concession. I mean, I'll take it. It's a gorgeous game.
Yeah.
I did want to talk to you about Borderlands versus this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I like the guns, maybe not the shooting, but the guns themselves better in Borderlands.
You mean like the attributes and the designs and stuff that set them all apart?
Because there was more variety to it. Like you could get a gun with a scope that would have, corrosive damage, but would shoot really fucking slow, but had a major, like, you know what I mean? Or
That's
like,
a good point,
you know what I mean?
actually.
Those kind of things.
Let me touch on that real quick. I think that you actually just touched on something that kind of sums up what you're saying. The guns in Borderlands had attributes that were more obvious in my mind, like corrosive
and
damage
tangible, yeah,
or something like that. Whereas there's elemental damage on these weapons, and you wouldn't know it if you weren't looking for it. Like you don't realize.
Well, no, it only works on shields too, right? Like it doesn't actually like impact characters.
It only
impacts the shield, exactly. So
and that's
very
so subtle. It's a little too subtle, and it almost feels kind of like pointless. And So I would agree there. I would agree with that port right there. But please continue. What were you saying about the difference between Borderlands and this?
Well, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, and like when I got a new gun in that game, it felt like a way cooler like thing. And plus, you got it quicker. You know what I mean? You got new guns constantly. That was the hook of this game, loot. Where this game, the loot doesn't feel like it comes as often as you would like. And like Rory said, like there are a couple times where I've killed some big boss and I'll get like a standard weapon, and it's like, well, yeah, it's like, why'd you know what I mean? Like it's so I mean, I guess the leveling up, like what like little things that you can level up, like I've been using hand cannon for like the last 5 levels. That's probably like a level 9 gun, but I'm still using it because now I've leveled it up so much that it's a beast. Like I can drop things with one headshot, So
and the cool thing about that though is, and the way that I mean, this is in any loot game, the investment you put into that gun isn't lost once you get another gun. You can put it in your storage and give it to the next guy if you roll another guy or something like that. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, that's something that is just kind of a given in a loot game, but I'm also just thankful that they included that in this game, because they could have easily been like, nope, it's not shared loot. I don't know, something like that. I agree that the loot game of Destiny is not nearly as strong as something like Diablo or as interesting as Borderlands, but it feels like it fits to me. I think
I'm just not 100% sure like how that system is really working. Like, is it 100% random in the sense, because like I finished a strike mission once and like I'm pretty sure like I didn't get anything this time, and sometimes I get something that's cool and sometimes I don't, and I'm just, if it's 100% random, I wouldn't have an issue with that, where it's like pure luck based. Like sometimes you might get a couple things, sometimes you'll play for hours and not get anything worthwhile, but then there's no trading. Like you can't trade with another player. Like
right.
It just, there's certain things that are missing from this whole loot system in this game. I'm just kind of like, it baffles me a little
is something that they want to do eventually. They're just not there yet. I really don't know, but I think some of it has to do with like, all right, so if you do a strike and then you go back and do it again later, you're not going to get as good of loot because you've already done it and you need to move on. I'm not totally sure. Loot, like
if that's the case,
like that is stuff that games like this balance over time. Like, look at the loot drop when Diablo 3 came out. It was terrible, and now it's amazing.
Well, no question, and that's why it's so tough to review a game like this too. It's like what this game is now might not. I mean, it could be hugely improved in a couple months from now too. Who knows what's going to be tweaked? Who knows what's going to be added? Are these what are they? Not the strikes that are coming. These raids are going to have like a huge impact on the overall quality of the experience as well. I'm going to be watching these raids very interested.
Sean, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say if that's the case where they don't give you as good loot because you already did it again, then that's a mistake, because you should be able to go back and do the strikes again at your level and have them scale to your level and have them give you better stuff. It's like, I don't know if you guys played. Did you guys play Borderlands? Did you play? Did you ever fight Chromorax?
No.
No.
The big. Okay, Chromorax was a special boss that had like 1,000,000 hit points or something, and when you killed that thing, it rained colored weapons for days, and you would just go around, like you couldn't even pick up everything that it dropped, and it was like you would sit there and unlike Destiny, where you get your own exclusive loot, like everybody was scrambling. You know what I mean? Like everyone wanted to grab the same, a good weapon and something. You know what I mean? So. And we would do that over and over and over and over and over again, because you would get new cool shit every time.
Yeah, see,
I feel like
those are the events that, like, those are some of the playlists and some of the upping the difficulty and stuff like that as you get higher level, right?
Yeah, and I hope that that's something that comes in. But here's the problem: is that like in this day and age, there's going to be like. Even you love this game, but Master Chief Collection is coming out for you in a month and a half, or 2 months. So when that comes out, you're probably not going to play Destiny as much. So they need to keep people. If they want to keep people playing this game, they have to do those things quicker. You know what I mean? These updates have to come quicker.
We saw already a list of events that are coming and things that are coming out, and I think the schedule that they have in place here with Destiny so far is going to be.
What was that?
Sorry. The schedule that they have in place, and as they continue to, get feedback and stuff like that, any tweaks or updates that do come out, they put out patch notes like day one, that they change things from the beta, and I think we're going to see patch notes probably monthly, if not weekly, and this experience that we're talking about that we've had this first week of the game, like Rory said, is going to be very different a month later, and I think the additional content that they'll be rolling out on a regular basis is going to keep somebody like me who is, I am in love with this game. I totally get the people who aren't feeling it. I feel like it just doesn't click for them, and I get the people who have like legit critiques about balance or story or something like that. I totally understand that, but I am in love with this game, and I plan on playing it after Master Chief Collection comes out pretty regularly. But I think that you're right. If they didn't have like content, additional stuff, regular, updates or something new, I would totally not play this game. It would just.
Well, it depends on how interesting that new content is going to be too, though, right?
Sure.
Like those raids. If those raids turn out just to be nothing more than like a longer strike mission, if it ends up being like it's the strike mission, but it's just longer and maybe a little bit tougher, like I don't know what they're going to do with those. I hope it's not, hey, it's just a longer, harder strike mission, but it takes exactly the same.
A strike traditionally should take, if you're playing on your level, a strike should traditionally take about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on your familiarity with it.
So far in my experience, I've been playing most strikes at like my own level, and feels like half an hour, kind of like max for them.
It's like that, and then then a raid would be, I guess, traditionally 2 to 3 hours if you are really like playing the challenging version. So
yeah, totally, I get that, but is that raid going to be structured exactly like a strike mission? Like, is that all it is? Is just a longer, tougher strike mission, or is there going to be something more creative in there?
What do you define as creative, though? That's what I'm curious about. Like, what do you want to see?
Yeah, Rory,
happen?
I don't.
You're going to run around and shoot guns with your friends.
Well, no, I'm not really quite sure like what I want to see. I just don't. I was hoping that because it's this new extra content that's coming in, it's going to take 2 hours or whatever it is going to be. I don't know. Maybe there's like a couple scripted moments like throughout it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm expecting. I just want to see something that's not exactly the same as a strike, but longer.
So during trailers
you're gonna be
promoting the game, when they were talking about the different game modes, there is a quick shot that you see of some Guardians jumping from like pillar to pillar.
Pillar to pillar, yeah.
And those pillars are like disappearing. And it looks really crazy. It doesn't look like anything that's in the game right now. I wonder if it might be something like that. Like, not only do you have bosses and mobs to clean up and get through, but maybe it's like the environment.
There's other like challenge chamber type things. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that might happen just to kind of switch things up a bit for you. But
and that's okay. That's all. I just want to see something a little bit different. That's all. It doesn't have to be this revolutionary experience within the game, this completely new mode. But I'm just hoping that it's not exactly that.
There's that moment on the moon where everything is, that you get an item and things are a little different there for you for a minute. Maybe something like that could be involved in a raid. But generally, raids is just going to be a much, much tougher strike that you really need to pay attention to. It's going to be old school MMO style raid where you guys need to communicate. You can only play raids. There is no raid matchmaking. There is no raid finder.
That is a problem. You can only play raids
with friends because it's designed so that you have to communicate with them.
Well, Bungie seems to have designed this whole game in a way
that part. Well, you can join with random people.
No, but here's the problem with it is that like you can, but the problem I have with the game right now is that it's touted as being like this big social sort of game. But unless you're actually like playing with your friends on your friends list, it's not that way at all, really. And like you can't sort of like I can't join.
They gate it. They gate it, and I think this actually has to do with
in a massive way though. Like with chat, like I can't socialize. I can't like I'm a busy guy with full-time work, and like my friends work different schedules than I do, so it's tough to coordinate and get everybody online at the same time to engage. So a lot of the times I'm like, well, I'm going to try and find I'm gonna try and find a random fire team. But then I can't like if I'm on my friends list in game, like without I'm not talking about the app on the Xbox One like friends list, and this might work differently on PlayStation 4 because I haven't been playing there. But right now, like I can't bring up the in-game menu where it's like, hey, these are your friends playing, invite them to your fire team. I can look and see that hey, there's only 2 people on that fire team, they need a third. I can't join them in game like that. There's no clan support in game either to see like what's going on with your clan and who's online playing. Unless
What do you mean you
actually on
can't
friends
join their
list as
fire
well.
team?
Yeah, you can join.
Wait,
that
I'm
game.
confused. If you
Like
right
in the-
click
in the-
on,
So that's
if you
the only
right-click
button
on
that
them-
I think is missing. You can't. There is no,
No,
like, join game
in the
button.
tower you can, but like I'm talking about like in the main menu, right? Like if
No.
I hit start button, if I'm in orbit and I hit start button and it shows me like, hey,
You
here's
go to
your
your
friends that are
roster.
playing.
Yeah.
I can scroll over top of them in the roster and say that, oh, there's one guy, he's playing in a fire team by himself right now and he's just
You
floating
can
in
invite
orbit.
him
Or
to
there's
your
2 of
game.
my friends. Yeah, but I can't join those parties, for example. Like so
you
Drew, there's
can,
you
but
and
you have
say
to go
Chris there or
around it.
something.
So I would agree. I would agree that this is a little. It is.
I have to
it
leave
is
the
missing,
game, go into
It
a
is missing a
friends app.
join game button because the way you do that on the Xbox One is you go to that person's gamer card, and then you go to join, and if they're in an open game that you can join their game. But that's not.
Exactly, but you have to
That's
leave and
not
go
in
into like your
Destiny.
friends like app basically. No, but you can invite people to game, but you can't
However,
join them within game.
Talking about chat,
And my
there
other
is-
biggest
there is
issue
something
is
that I
that,
think
like-
people don't understand. All right, so say you do a raid or a strike playlist. When you join a team, when you join a fire team in a strike, you can't talk to those people because they're not in your fire team, quote unquote. So if you invite them to your fire team while you're in the strike with them, then you can hear them like you would hear anybody who's partied up with you, so to speak, within the game.
See, and that's where my experience hasn't been like proving that, and that's why I'm confused with how it works because there's no proximity chat.
No,
So
and that's-
if
and see,
I
that's-
get team. If it randomly
what
puts you
brings-
together on a fire team, then you can't hear anybody. So then
that's
you have to like
part
go out of the orbit.
because it's such a
and-
social game, because so many people play together in this game. That's part of why this game's rated teen. You're not you don't have kids who could be just randomly subjected to the Call of Duty multiplayer environment of people running around.
No, totally.
spewing
And
horrible
you know, you
things.
can say like, oh, you can put a quick mute on it and
You
easy
have to,
enough.
like-
But I get that.
You
Like
have
you've got to
opt
censor that
into
in some way.
communicating with
But
these people.
oh, it's so hard to do, man. Like there's no like place in the tower where you can easily socialize either and have a group of people that are like, hey, these people are clearly marked that want to find some people to like join a fire team with you, et cetera,
Okay,
et cetera, et
and
cetera.
I would agree that some of these ideas are stuff that if they figure out a way to make it work without breaking the game or slowing it down network wise and stuff like that, then I could see them implementing this stuff, and I can actually
Wait.
think of places in the tower that you could do that. But
I'm very confused. Hold on.
Yeah,
I'm very
go for it.
confused because I can if I go next to somebody, I can right click. I can click the
Yeah,
right
you
stick
click
on their
that and
name,
interact with
and then
them.
it says you can join their fire team. Like you
When
might
you're
not be
in
able
the
to chat
tower,
with them.
right?
No, when I'm in a mission, like I just did it today. Like
Yeah, but,
right
but you
click on
can't do it
somebody and
before
then
you
send
go
it.
into stuff. For example, like if I want to join my friend's fire team, if I'm online and
via
I'm
the
looking at the
menu.
list of people,
You're saying via the menu.
yeah, before I go into stuff, like you can invite people to your fire team. That's that main social thing where you're like, oh, okay, let's see who my friends are playing online
But
right
then-
now.
I mean,
I
but
can't
but
jump
see,
into their like game easily.
there's two sides to this coin.
So you
here.
wait, you want
can
that-
also
you wait,
just
hold on,
message
you-
your friend and say, hey, invite me to your fire team. I mean,
Yeah,
that
but
is
some of these
possible.
people, like-
So you can't. Here's my question. You can't. Okay, this is how it works on PS4. I'm sure it works exactly the same. This is why I'm confused. If I click on is it that you want an in-game menu to do this? Because I can just sit
like when
there
you go
and
to
literally-
roster when you go to
to
roster,
roster.
I'm just saying that I don't like the idea that if I'm just like on my Xbox One, I have the game booted up and I go to roster, like say I'm floating in orbit, right? I've just booted the game up, I'm floating in orbit. I want to say, it says right there, press Y to see your friends that are online. It brings up the list. I can scroll over everybody. I can get detail about what they're doing, what missions they're on, who's in their fire team already. And sometimes like you don't know if they want to be in their game. If it's solo, fine. Like, but there's no markings in the sense that like I don't want to try and pull 1% out of a game or not hear back from them when I send the invite. So sometimes I want to just jump in. I see that there's only 2 out of 3 people on their team and they're floating in orbit. I can't just jump into their fire team from
You
that
can,
menu.
but you can't
if I
do it
want
right
to,
there
I
in
have
the
to.
game.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If I want to, then I have to. I mean, this is just like little things, right? But this is about streamlining the social experience of it. I have to leave the game and go into the Friends app,
But it is
and then
possible.
go. That's
like you can do this. People do it all the time. Like I was talking to a friend earlier.
I'm
He
not
was
saying
like-
it's not
he was like, I was
possible.
playing
It's
the
just
game,
little
and then
things
next
in
thing I know,
design
there's
that
one
I'm
of my
like,
buddies
why
I know
doing
what
it
he's
like
saying.
this.
I know what he's
It's
saying.
just
I
little
get what he's
things. It
saying. That's
just
why
seems like a very
it's
simple
just-
missing thing that I'm like, why is it not there? Every other feature
But that's just
that I need
all
to see
so
right there
let's-
isn't there.
We're wasting way too much time on this one button that could. be
No,
added
we're
to the
just
game.
we're just chatting. It's the whole thing with the social aspect with it, where it's like if I have my friends online at that given time and we coordinate that, it's a great social experience. If I'm by myself and I'm trying to hook up with strangers and get people communicating in that sense,
You
it's
can
not
join them
really
too.
that easy.
I know what he's saying. I know exactly what he's saying. It's just
You can
I
join
don't-
them,
I
but
mean,
do they want you to join their fire team? There's just no. It's just weirdly, really awkwardly set up, in my opinion. Like it just doesn't really make sense for this game that they touted as this really social experience when the tower isn't necessarily that great of a social.
So you
hub.
want like a wing that everyone just goes and hangs out in. So here's the.
It doesn't
answer
have to be a
that. If
wing.
you
It can
ever
be a
played-
marker
if
just
you
saying
ever
I'm
played
looking to
World of
fire team
Warcraft,
up, some proximity
everyone else
chat
had
so I
the
can
same
be like,
problem
hey.
that you have. Everyone had this problem for years in World of Warcraft. There was a whole chat called Looking for Group, and then they added Looking for Group as like an in-game app thing where you just queue up and then you wait until there's a party ready for you to automatically pull into. So then you go patrolling around or hanging out, and then all of a sudden you get a loading screen saying like, hey, you're getting dropped into a dungeon. We found some people who are looking for your class, and here they are. And you drop in, and then it actually broke the social aspect of the game because it was so automated that people were like, well, this is, we're losing this like sense of community where people would communicate with each other and say like, hey, we're looking for this thing, we want to go specifically do this strike, and like.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. There's no easy way to communicate that with strangers right now. I'm not saying that I want some
Invite them to a party.
automatic thing, but I don't necessarily want to like invite like random strangers to a party beforehand without them knowing like what's up. I'd rather just be able to like have a toggle that says, and again, maybe it's just down to the teen rating, like you say, but I find it frustrating as hell that I can't have the option to like toggle on like a proximity chat of some kind, or even just like a little chat box that's like got all the cuss words and everything that you could ever imagine being inappropriate blocked out in a sense, so that I could just be like, hey, like anybody want to party up, or like, hey, you there, I'm looking to do a couple like fire team strike missions with some peeps. I just find it frustrating as a person that jumps on solo sometimes to have to jump around hoops in a small way to get a communicating fire team going, that of complete strangers. That's all. When I have my friends together, it works great, it's social, it's a blast, but I find there's like these hoops that I got to jump through in a sense, to meet up with strangers and make new friends on there, to join up as a fire team.
You find a way around that, because that is like, I agree that there should be a join fire team button, but I think that like there are so many ways to meet people. Like we have a new listener because of how this game works. Like me and Krista just picked up a random in a playlist, and now we play with him like all the time.
I'm not saying you can't meet people and there isn't ways, Drew. I'm just saying for a game that was touted as this huge social experience in a sense, that I feel like that it's really designed around the idea that you're always going to have your personal friends there ready to play, as opposed to making it super easy for the solo gamer to like properly hook up and choreograph and organize with strangers in a sense. It's things that can get improved upon, no question. I just look at it and I'm just like, I just don't get some of the design choices.
I think it would be kind of cool to have a like I'm picturing the Star Wars cantina that you like go into, and you just literally like, hey, if you stand over here if you want to go to do this strike, and then once enough people are around each other, and you're like, hey guys, you want to party up? Cool, let's go.
I'm not a designer, so I can't really say how easy it is, but I get what Rory's saying. Like, say I'm in there with Rory, and we're open to having a third person join us. Maybe we can set something and be like, that makes us yellow. It's like our name's highlighted in yellow instead of green or blue because we're looking for a third player.
Yeah, just an easy identifier.
Well, what you do is the two of you. Now, what are you trying to do? What kind of activity are you trying to do? You want to do
say
a strike?
We're doing a strike mission.
The two of you can party up, and then you can go pick the strike playlist, and someone will be dropped into your game. That's how that works. I mean, like that's how that situation worked. The only thing that I think would be a challenge would be, hey, why don't we get a third person to go on patrols with, because that won't have like an automatic thing. But while you're out patrolling, you could just hit on someone and be like, hey, you know, like point at them or wave at them or whatever, invite them to your party, see if they want to patrol with you. And then, sure, that might be mildly awkward. They might be like, "What's up?" And you're like, "Hey, we're all doing
I just want to be
patrols
able
right
to be
here."
like, "Hey, who wants to join our fire team to do random stuff?" And then
Just
they're part
say
of
it
our
out loud.
fire team proper.
The
Not
only
like I
problem
have to
is
go.
if
Now I have
you're
to
in
go
a-
into this playlist and
If
be
you're
in
in
the
the
playlist.
tower and there's 16 people in there and you're all trying to ask each other what you want to do, the cons to that would outweigh the pros of like the minor convenience of being able to just walk up to someone and say, "Hey, you want to go on a patrol with me and my friend?" You know what I mean?
Okay, so
I don't know. I think
I
think
don't-
there's a lot of improvements to be made on that front.
I agree with that
I-
general statement. I do agree with that.
I personally don't have that issue because I'll just grab my friends. The two problems I have
I
with
have pages of friends playing Destiny right now, so I don't.
the two problems I have is, one, I don't like the fact that there's no matchmaking. I understand why they're doing it, but the problem is that
For raids?
I play at weird hours. Yeah, I play at weird hours, and I can't. It's very hard for me to coordinate.
So that's
3
just
hours.
for raids, though. That's only for raids that there's no
I know,
matchmaking.
I know, but that's something that I want to experience.
It just means that Sean might not ever really have a good chance to. Yeah.
But see, I think
So that's something I want to do.
All right, so there's
And
no
that's-
matchmaking.
that's-
However, I think that if you were playing, and you were playing the way that this game kind of lets you bounce around from person to person or whatever, it actually shouldn't be too hard for you to get into a party with some people and be like, "Hey, do you guys want to go do a raid?" You know, or like, "Do you guys plan on doing raids?" Like, the more you play this game, the more you're bound to accrue a group of people who play the game when you play.
No, and I'm sure
I
I
think that
will,
could be a way
but I
around it.
feel like that's going to require. I feel like that's going to require ancillary means of trying to get that to happen rather than having it be in the game.
Like
That's just
communicating
one
with
minor
people?
quibble. Yes, like I might have to go on Facebook and be like, "Hey, I want to do a raid."
Or
it's like not going to be as easy
or
to do it
your
in the game.
clan. Oh man, what? Oh, that sucks.
That's the thing. There's no
They're gonna
no
make you
in-game
work with your
clan
clan.
support, right?
I agree with that. That's actually my one big complaint as far as the social stuff goes. Like you have a lot. Bungie has a lot of structure in place on their website, but they didn't implement any of that into the app or the game itself, which I'm assuming they're working on. Like they have to be. It blows my mind. All right, so we have a Rated M for Podcast clan. If you play Destiny and you don't know about that, go search Rated M for Podcast on Bungie.net. Request to join our group, and then when we get approved, set as Xbox or set as PlayStation clan, and you will be part of our clan, which gives you Rated M for Podcast on your emblem, and it gives you the clan tag of R8DM when you're playing multiplayer. So that's it. Now, also there is an achievement associated with this. If you play a strike with a fire team consisting of clan members only, you get an achievement. So we got that, but there is no like clan chat. There's no clan social thing in your roster. Like that would be really cool for Rory to be able to go to his roster, and instead of adding every single person in the clan to your friends list, you just go to the clan section of your roster and it shows who's on. I think.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm finding. I was
think that's
excited.
coming.
I was excited that the clans were set up because I've never really been part of a clan as being a console guy as well. So I was
Right.
like, oh, cool, like clanning up in Destiny. This is going to be great. And we set up the thing on Bungie.net. But then I realized in game that there's actually no real connection there. I
No.
mean, yes, there's
It's
that
not
achievement
surfaced
of you
very
thing,
well.
but there's nothing in game where it's like, oh, I can see what my clan's doing and who's
Right.
playing. I have to then go out of the game and go to Bungie.net.
And then
and
not
that's another
only-
thing with just like, speaking of that, those cards, right, to get the story. It's like, why can't I look at this stuff in game? Now I have to leave the game and go on fucking Bungie.net to get like more information about this.
Yeah,
like, what do you
okay. Okay, my other complaint, and this is a minor complaint, but it's weird to me that every time you finish a mission, you go back into orbit. Like, I want to be able to finish a mission, go to the next mission without having to sit there. You know what I mean? Or like open up the map and go right from there to like
Open the
highlight. And be
map
like,
while
this is
you're
where
on
you
a
have to
planet
go.
blows my mind. Like, it blows my
Yeah,
mind. Like,
dude.
when you're patrolling and you're like, all right, which way do I need to go? There's no way of, like, you can pull out your ghost and it'll highlight, like, this way to, you know, this part of the map or whatever. But I need a map in front of me. And it blows my mind that I
Yeah.
can't pull out my ghost and hit, like, you know, A to go to map or something like that. Like,
That's what I was doing today for a
Yeah.
couple hours, was just purely exploring the patrol areas. I was like, I'm going to run the perimeter of these maps and these
Yeah.
planets and just
Yeah.
see how big these
Which
sections
is
are
hella
and how
fun.
many caves
I mean,
and
that's
such are in
really
here.
cool, but why wouldn't they, you know,
It is, but
accommodate for someone who wants to get lost and then find their way back? You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. It got me a little nuts when I was like, wait a minute. But now I'm just like, there's so many tunnels that sort of like interconnect and such. I'm like, where am I coming out right now? And you don't know until you finally do come out. And you're like, oh, now I'm over here. It'd be so great to have a fucking map on the planet. But I wanted to see the scale too, because this is like one of my other small complaints was just the scale in a sense of like, I went back to remind myself and I watched a Destiny behind closed doors. It was basically the E3 demo, but behind closed doors they were like, hey, so normally I would go on this mission, but instead I'm going to turn around 180 degrees, and they show you the horizon, they show you this massive like area, and they're like, that's all playable. But, you know, upon the final release of the game, like, it's not even close to sort of what they were alluding at in that
What's
demo,
funny
where
is
it's like there's
literally
these
what you're
there's these
talking about
massive.
is not playable. Like, nothing back there is actually playable. Like, that moment,
I know,
like
and
that
that's
ledge that you
I
start
was
on
like-
is the start of the map, and you can't go anywhere behind you.
No, totally. And that's the thing when they're like, that's all playable and explorable or whatever they're, you know, they exactly said. But they basically alluded that, like, I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is huge. I never expected we would have a whole planet to fucking explore. But I expected more than just sort of like these big pit areas and then like a linear tunnel. Like, sometimes you can't even go over a hill when there's guys fighting on the other side of the hill because it needs to funnel you down and around the hill. I can't actually like jump over portions. And some of the most interesting stuff is like a stone's throw away over a hill, like the city on Mars. And it's like, I can't even go there. And it's just, I feel once I've started doing the perimeter searches, I was like, damn, like, it's so beautiful, this game, and they've done so many things right, but I was a little let down with just like the actual open world sort of aspect to it. It's big though. It is big, but it's not what I was expecting.
That's the thing about it.
He agrees.
Hold
The
on
dog
one second.
agrees.
Sorry, my dog is freaking out because for some reason my girlfriend decided to bring
So,
someone over during the podcast.
What-
But here, no,
yeah,
wait.
that makes
But like
sense.
back to what I was saying, okay. So I want to talk about something that a lot of people have been shitting on that I don't agree with. I like the story of this game.
I think it's cool. I think it's fantastic.
I think it's cool. I mean, I don't want to get into spoilers because
Sure.
it's too early, but
Yeah, I agree.
like at first when you're on Russia, I feel like it's kind of boring. Not boring, but like you're just getting told things. You know what I mean? It's all exposition. But then once you get off the Earth, you start getting more of the story and through cutscenes and stuff like that. And I've just experienced a couple of cutscenes, and I'm like, wow, I kind of like where this is going. Like I
Venus
have
is
an
where
end
the
game in
whole
mind. I know
story of the game, like, all of a sudden happens. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Actually, to be honest, so I've finished the game. The plot point that is the goal. All right, so the overarching narrative that is the plot point of Destiny, this game that we have right now, the actual story of it, not like the little missions and blah, 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 but the overarching story doesn't actually get dropped until Venus. So you're 2 planets in, and then the story starts, and you're like, oh, and you don't realize that until the end of the game, and you're like, okay, so this was what we were trying to solve. Got it. And then you continue on, and I'm sure the expansion stuff will have like a new threat and blah, blah, blah. However, the
I don't think it's a
story
bad
of
story. I
Destiny
just think it's
1
very badly
is from
told.
Venus
I think
to
it's just a
Mars.
badly told story.
I don't think it's even badly told. I think initially it's badly told, but I think once you get to where he's talking about in Venus, it's no longer badly told, and it becomes interesting. I feel like they took too long to start getting there. You know what I mean? But like,
I would agree, but I think that the amount of stuff. So as shallow as this game feels, there's a lot to wrap your head around in this game as far as like laying the foundation of like, okay, this is how the mechanics work, and this is what your characters do, and these are where you go to do all this stuff. Like that's all introduced in the first two planets, and by the time you finish the second planet, you're like, all right, I'm kind of hitting a pattern here, and then they're like, okay, now here's the story. And oh, by the way, here's like way crazier enemies, and everything kind of ramps up to 11, but then it just ends. And I think that's the biggest critique for people is, you know, you feel like when you hit the beginning of the story in Venus, you're like, oh man, I'm about to play the next like, you know, months worth of game, like a Mass Effect style, like just endless story, and then this character, and then this, you know, place, we go to this world, and I get to explore this new place. Nope, it goes planet, and then by then, you know, the missions have wrapped the story up and you've achieved the goal, because there's so much else beyond just playing a story in this game. And I think that's why. I think people expected a like full-fledged campaign, whereas the campaign tells a story, but that's literally all it does. It just tells a story in the trappings of the gameplay of Destiny that has like this meta thing to it where you always want more loot and you want to try the harder thing. There's a daily challenge, there's a weekly challenge, there's this guy that shows up on the weekends and he's got really cool shit, and so you got to keep replaying this stuff, and you go to the Crucible because this weekend they have a whole new game type that isn't even in the freaking game, and like, you know, like all of that is also part of the game. And so when people went to the story and they wanted like a beefy story, I think everybody was shocked that it just ends, and you're like, oh, okay, is that it? You know, I really feel like that's.
Well, there's just not much happening, right? There's not a lot of interesting characters like that you interact with that much, and there's no like character development for like yourself
so the funny thing
at
is
all either. Like, 'cause I didn't like,
Grimoire,
I have no attachment like to my character whatsoever outside of like an aesthetic sort of attachment, where like, oh yeah, like I like the look of this character and that's cool, but like, who is my character and like what are they really doing? I get it, they're one of these guardians and they've been brought back, but like there isn't a lot of interesting meat for me to sink my teeth into in what's presented in the game itself after finishing the story and playing all the other stuff. There might be some great story there that I can get in with the extra lore, and maybe with those Vanguard card things by going to Bungie.net, but what's in the game itself, I was like, like I just stopped paying attention. It became about the pure awesome gameplay.
What's funny is the Grimoire cards, like if you do spend some time to read them and you start getting like, you know, perspective on your Vanguard, like the Hunter Vanguard is like this legendary hunter who you know, used to go out and do all this crazy stuff, and then his best friend died, and so he took his best friend's role as the Vanguard for hunters, and he really wants to get back out there, but he's too busy being the Vanguard and you know, being the like leadership for hunters in as Guardians. And he's kind of an interesting character, and there's some, you know, the Grimoire card for the Warlock Vanguard is like, you got to scroll all the way down through these paragraphs, which I was actually kind of jealous about. I was like, man, she's got all this lore about her. They're interesting characters, except you don't know that because they don't talk to you.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem with some of the storytelling that I have.
To me, though, I think
probably a lot of cool stuff there, but it's not presented to you in the game.
So to me personally, maybe part of this is like fanboyism, but I appreciate that because I think that it lends itself to the pace of this game. This game is really easy to hop in, hop out of, do these things, and have objectives. Like today, I just want to do some patrols and blah, blah, blah. If you had cutscenes going off when you were doing missions on a higher difficulty or something like that over every time, or if every time you went to go see your Vanguard,
well, you just make them skippable, and like they're skippable, not skippable now, right? Like,
all of the cutscenes are not skippable. It's amazing. I don't know why they did that.
Two things. A couple of things. Point and counterpoint. Half-Life 2 doesn't have a single cutscene, and it has one of the best stories in video games. There's really ways around that. You don't have to have a cutscene to tell a story, so they could do things. And I feel like I don't know if they quite you know. I don't know what the reason is. Why
I don't know if they're up to the challenge of doing that type of storytelling.
I don't know what the reason is, but whatever it is, they do it. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a cutscene. And two, I'm not an ancillary guy. I don't care about what's outside of the box in front of me. I'm like this with
Me
movies.
neither.
I'm like this with video games. I don't read these books that expand on the story in front of me. I don't read expanded universe stuff. I just want the game. I'm enjoying the story for what it is. It is a very simple story, but I like what they're doing. And but my number one complaint about it, and I get what they're doing, and I get why they're doing it. And like you said, Drew, it's by design because they want you to jump in, jump out. It makes it very easy,
it's a
and
very
I do appreciate
fast-paced
that.
experience.
But I do wish you didn't have to go back into orbit after every fucking mission.
I would agree.
Like,
and actually, when I heard the word strike playlist, so strike, all right, so anybody who's not totally familiar with what's going on, because there's actually a lot of people who, you know, the game's only been out for a week, so you haven't really played all of it yet. So if you go to the Crucible, you pick game types, and those game types will put you in a loop of play multiplayer, finish the game. If you don't leave matchmaking, you sync back up with whoever you're already in a party with, and you find the next, find the next enemies, and then in a very odd choice, you don't pick maps or you don't pick anything. But anyways, you just go in an endless loop of playing matchmaking in whatever game type. When I saw next to that, they introduced strike playlists, which is literally the same thing, but just for strikes to get Vanguard marks, which is PvP, PvE. So, you have your Crucible marks, you have your Vanguard marks. It's the difference between PvP and PvE. You play a strike, and then I believe that's it. Like, you go back to orbit or something like that, and it's not a, continuous thing, as far as I know. And I thought that was weird.
It does spit you back out. Yeah.
To me, a playlist is a playlist. We pick the level. So the way strike playlists work is you pick the level of difficulty you want to play of a strike, and it won't let you pick a super high difficulty. So up until just recently, I couldn't pick the fourth one, which is a level 24 strike, because I was level 22. Now that I'm level 24, I can play any of these 4 different difficulty strikes depending on the people in my party and whether or not they can play that level of strike. I thought that would just be a continuous thing. We just go, all right, we're going to play level 20 strikes, and it's just going to go over and over again. We're going to mass all this stuff, and we're going to expend all of our ammo, and then we'll go back to the tower, and we'll just have loot everywhere. And that's not really the case. That does blow my mind. But I see what you're saying, Sean. You're talking about just playing through the story, right? If you wanted to mainline all of the Moon story missions, not only that, why don't we talk about the fact that this is treading into people can be a little dumb sometimes territory. However, there are people who play this game and don't realize that these missions go in a certain order, because there are moments where you get multiple missions available or something like that, or you're a high enough level to do multiple missions, and then you just start picking missions and you don't realize that you're playing them out of order. Apparently that is
I had
possible.
a buddy that didn't even know there was actual missions. I jumped into his game through the friends list, and he was patrolling, and he'd been patrolling for days, and I was just he's like, I'm having a blast, man, I'm having a really good time. We should do some other stuff like strikes and story mission stuff, and I'll help you level up to get to where I am, so we can do some stuff together. And he's like, there's story missions? And I'm just like, oh man, so there's so many other things to do here.
Which is, that kind of brings me back to, you see things like Call of Duty, and you're like, God, I just gotta follow this guy, or this corridor shooter is so. But I mean, they know that there are people out there who just subtlety is lost on them, and I feel like if you were selecting a mission, or if you were looking at a map and you saw all of these other things to highlight, you would be like, what's this over here? But I think
it's just because a
funny.
lot of the
It even
modes
says
don't
the word
differentiate
story
themselves.
mission.
Yeah, and it tells you what level
it totally does. And the reality is, he had been actually playing stuff too, and he just didn't realize they were story missions. I think that's where some of the storytelling comes into play, though, where it's a lot of the gameplay and the moment-to-moment stuff. I mean, this is true for a lot of games, but the story missions aren't that different than a strike mission. Everything kind of plays out exactly the same no matter what you're doing, as opposed to, I mean, there's the open road patrolling, of course, but a strike mission, a story mission, the fact that he didn't know the difference between the two shows a little bit about like how similar they are and the lack of actual like storytelling potentially going on.
Why don't we change gears a little bit and touch on some stuff that I think we've alluded to, but we haven't really gone in depth about. This game looks amazing. It sounds amazing. The production quality of this game is just leagues beyond Halo, and it's leagues beyond anything Bungie's ever done, and it's probably one of the best production qualities I've seen on the Xbox One so far. How do you guys feel about it? Sean, what's your take on it?
I think I agree with everything you said. I think it's an absolutely gorgeous game. I think like, and I've mentioned this before, and nothing but the Halo theme has ever stood out to me with what Marty O'Donnell's work on that series. But whoever is responsible for the music in this game, like whichever portion is Paul McCartney or Marty O'Donnell or the other guy, whatever the case may be.
I can actually, I've listened to Marty for so long. There's so much of it that's Marty. It's
when
just
you're
crazy
in combat. It is the most epic fucking music I've ever experienced in a fucking video game. And it's so good. Like sometimes music I like get drowned. I drown it out.
Sure.
And in this, like, it just gets you so pumped up. Like especially the one with like the chorus on there, like whatever the fuck they're saying, or whatever. It's awesome, and it's like I love it so much. And then there's like that little like Terminator type one that's like do 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 do.
Yeah.
I love that shit. I love it. I think the music in this game is great. I think the sounds are great. I've been playing a lot with headphones because I don't have I play in the morning when my girlfriend is sleeping or something like that, or she's taking a nap. I don't want to wake her up, so I have the headphones on, and they have, especially on PlayStation, they have the digital surround sound, the simulated surround sound, and man, it sounds so good. Like you can hear where they're falling or coming from. And
I'm playing with Astro A40s on, and I've had them for a couple weeks. This right here makes my A40s worth every penny. Like this game sounds so amazing, and I can adjust like how much of it I hear that is game volume and how much of it I hear that is like voice volume. So when I'm playing with people, I mean the game gets so overwhelming that I have to like turn it all the way to voice sometimes just to like make sure that I understand like what's going on, who's going where. Like when I'm playing the Moonstrike and somebody's down and I need to get with them real quick, and everything's exploding. There's like knights lobbing, mortars at me, and there's wizards just flying around me, and there's Thrall coming at me screaming and stuff. It really leaves an impression. And I would agree that, up until this point, I haven't really been too enamored by any one specific thing in this game. I was just excited about the prospects of this game and excited about what I've heard about this game, but like Thrall and names of weapons or names of characters or certain tunes or whatever, nothing has really stuck with me. And then now that I've played the game for about a week, like every song, I like when I go to the menu, like boot the game up and I hear the music and the beeps and bloops and like space noises and stuff, it just hits me, man. I am really impressed by everything that they put into this game. It all fits. It all feels like it has a cohesive tone. It's great.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention one thing. They talk about the Hellmouth. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they like Buffy the Vampire Slayer a lot. And that was an homage to it because you can't possibly be ripping off the Hellmouth. That's where all the activity and why Buffy's in Sunnydale is because it's on top of a Hellmouth.
That's funny.
And that's where it's a center of demonic activity, and that's
there's
what that is. So
there's little like nods and tips and stuff in everything. There was there's a weapon that's like got some name, but it has the word prudence in it. And Paul McCartney worked on the music of this game with Marty O'Donnell. And there's a song by the Beatles called Dear Prudence. And so I'm just in my head, I'm like, okay, this weapon has to be called Prudence because of Dear Prudence by the Beatles. Like, there's all these little things that are tied together, and all the voice acting. Holy crap! Bill Nighy, Dexter's dad is the head of the Dead Orbit. The head of the New Monarchy is he's some character, like bit actor that's probably been in Lock, Stock, 2 Smoking Barrels and every other Guy Ritchie movie. I can't remember. Cade, my Vanguard, is freaking Mal from Firefly and Castle. Frank Castle.
Oh, Nathan Fillion?
Nathan Fillion, yeah. There are so many people in this game, and all of those people all have like their little tidbits. So it is a really, really high production value game, and I can tell, like, when they say $500 million for the franchise and all that stuff, and there was like a $6 million marketing budget just for the production. I don't know if it was just for it, but there was a number thrown out for the amount of commercials that they ran during the Simpsons marathon. Like, every single commercial had a Destiny promo in it, which is just ridiculous. I think it's all worth it. This is a really high cost game.
I went to Target yesterday, and right in the middle of the girls' like there's the where you check out, and then behind that's the girls' clothing section, and right in the girls' clothing section, like right by the aisle, was a Destiny standee where you could just run up where they had the actual game, Xbox One and PS4, and you could just grab it off of there. I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. So, Rory, what's your take on the music and some of the production value, the visuals, and all the voice acting?
I love it, and those were all the most forefront pros, obviously, in my list of pros versus cons, and it's that culmination of all that stuff that.
Sorry.
it's why I actually really enjoyed the game, despite I have a lot of little issues with the game that just drive me nuts, but
sure.
It's because of just the production value of the game itself and the moment to moment, again, mechanically fucking awesome. It feels so good to play. I have a blast teaming up with my friends. It's graphically gorgeous. The environments, the lighting, the weapons are all lavish with great little details, fantastic art design throughout. The audio is brilliant, really. The score just swells and intensifies as battles begin, and the explosion of power that emits from each weapon is awesome. And the ambience throughout all the planets too, I think, is just fantastic. And it's all that stuff adding up together that makes me enjoy this game. It's not necessarily the missions themselves, because I don't find the missions interesting. I have fun playing them because the moment-to-moment gameplay is so fucking satisfying. But the missions themselves, after beating the game and doing the strikes numerous times and stuff, it's all just doing the same shit over and over again for me. It's the same outcome. It's the enemies don't take a lot of strategy once you realize I just have to pop his shield, make his head pop out, and then it's all about the head strikes. The elemental damages to weapons don't have they have very little impact on the game overall.
Yeah, it is. It's Halo
just
combat. It really
it's just the moment to moment. Yeah, it's just the gameplay I love, and I think it looks fantastic and sounds fantastic, and that's why I'm having a lot of fun with it, despite all of my little frustrations with the game itself. But great production value.
Why don't we wrap the show with just some final thoughts? I'm curious what you guys think your future is with Destiny. So, Sean, what is the future of Destiny for you?
In this particular game or the franchise?
No, just
itself?
In this game.
Well, I mean, it's tough because I like it. I want to play it. Everything else I like or interested in is pushed back until the end of October or November or into next year. So I have time with this game, and I want to keep playing it, but I'm not interested in multiplayer. And I want to do raids, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to coordinate that. So I don't know how much more beyond the actual final mission and leveling up will I do. I might do it just because I want to get to level 20. I want to see what the subclass is and how that levels up and all that stuff. So that is going to probably keep me going for a while. But once I don't see myself playing it, definitely not after Call of Duty comes out. And definitely, I might keep it around just, so I can get whatever DLC comes out.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you buy the season pass or anything?
I haven't bought anything.
Okay.
it just depends. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I'm not a DLC guy. I very rarely do it.
Just Titanfall.
Titanfall, but Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2, like new maps, I'll do. But I'm not into the multiplayer, so if that's part of the DLC, if that's only the DLC, like I have no interest in that. But if they're gonna do new strike missions, I mean, I'm assuming that the raids are gonna take place in those places that are blocked off by people with like the question marks above their head.
So all right. So first of all, there is one raid coming. It'll be open on the 16th. It's on Venus. It's called the Vault of Glass, and you can see it on the map on Venus right now. It's a like skull with fire or chains or something like that, and you can mouse over it or however you want to cursor over it, and it'll show you that it's a raid, and it's not selectable. You can't click on it or anything, and that'll be the raid.
See, that's weird to me because there's whole areas in Russia that you can't get to because they're gated off by these super powerful enemies.
Well, also, what level are you?
Well, right now I'm level 13, but even when I beat level 20, what's down there?
There's those guys are still there with the question mark, and it still says immune when you shoot them.
There's an ogre underneath a ledge in old Russia that was all question marks in the beta, mostly because you couldn't get past level 8, I think, in the beta. I went down there at level like 15 or something, and he's like a level 13, I want to say, but he's an ogre. Like, he's super ridiculously tough. I went down there and killed him, and he actually has a ghost down there that you can get that gives you a special Grimoire card, and it adds to if you collect like 50 ghosts or something like that, you get an achievement. So I think I know.
It's like I feel like
are people that after a certain amount of time you can go kill them for whatever reason, but maybe that is part of like an Earth raid or something in the future.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to see, like, I want to know, like, there's got to be some reason other than just to go down there and kill them.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would like to think that that's what they're going to do. Like, going down there is going to get you, like, net you some like cool loot or something. Like, because there's,
I think that moving forward, as far as so my guess is until we get like a legit expansion, like I wonder if there's going to be like actual expansion packs and not just DLC packs that are like $15 or whatever, which I guess they're not. I guess they're like $20. But unless we get like a legit full-on expansion that is like a whole nother chapter of the game, much like a Reaper of Souls level of expansion that you would almost buy for like almost the whole full price of another game, I don't think we're going to see any more new landmass or locations. I think that'll come with something like that. And then as far as more planets go, I think you're going to get more planets with a sequel, unless they do like a full-on expansion. So I wouldn't be surprised if all the DLC, where I'm going with this is, I wouldn't be surprised if all the DLC or any additional content is just adding new things to do in places that we've already been, or places that we could go, but like you're saying, we would just die because there's no way to get through there or whatever. So.
That's what I'm saying. I hope I don't mind if there's other places to explore in Russia. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there are, and I don't care if you want to say, hey, okay, here's a couple more strike missions. Actually, okay, that's cool.
Now you mention it, yeah. There's so if you go patrolling, there's a section of Russia that has level 22 enemies in it that are just out and about, and you should never be on Russia at level 22 unless you're playing like higher level missions. But these enemies wasn't part of a mission that's on Russia right now, so I think that might be the case. I think you're going to see like a mission tied to this group of enemies that have been here the whole time, you know what I mean, but you just don't know why they're there. So yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I feel like there's something there. There's got to be something. Okay, just real quick. There's like, the part where when you're on the Devil's Lair and you have to the ghost is scanning something and you have to fight a bunch of waves.
What you're talking to,
of
and
enemies.
That actually ties to what I'm talking about. So just for anybody listening, there is a section of the Devil's Lair strike where you have to fight off wave after wave after wave of fallen, and then you go through the area that's blocked off by lasers. There's to the left of where the ghost is, there's like this green hallway. Is that what you're talking about? You went down there?
Yeah, and there's a cave, and you go down there, and I got killed.
22 enemies. They're crazy.
Yeah, I got killed by a 20 wizard,
Yeah.
a level 20 wizard, and it was like, oh, okay, so what is down here?
Yeah,
That's like I'm looking for like.
I have yet to find out.
That's what I'm
why
talking about. I
that's
feel
even
like there's places in there where they could do other stuff. I
Yeah.
don't know why it's down there. So I'm
And I
hoping
love
that there's more to it
Like,
than just
that's
going
not
down
even-
there and killing a bunch of
That's
enemies.
not even just a cave. Like that's a crashed hive ship that's like embedded in the ground, and there's all these enemies
Yeah.
down there, and they are what's infecting like the area around you, and yeah, you have no idea why they're there. And actually, if you so I found the other end of that cave. It actually leads out to the coast. So if you go patrolling and you're going along the coast and there's all the ships and stuff, if you go past that, you will find the other end of that crashed ship, and there's just 22 level 22 hunter or knights and all those dudes all over the place. It is crazy that stuff's even there, right? Like, and like, what is that? So yeah, I hope that that's further content. But all right, Rory, what's your future with Destiny as it is?
I don't know. I'll have to wait and see what happens. Like, the reality is, I don't stick with games.
Oh no, Rory. Oh, we have.
He doesn't stick with this podcast either.
We're having some technical difficulties. Just a second. Problem with the call.
Then that's coming now.
Oh,
because-
Sean. Hey, Rory. Hold on, man.
Yep.
You said I don't usually stick with games, and then we lost you for a minute. The call quality dropped really bad. So, if you could please restart what you were saying.
All good. Yeah, it says that I've only been on the line for 17 seconds, too. It must have dropped it.
It did. It dropped you completely. Sorry about that.
It's all good. I just don't normally play games for months on end. You know,
Okay,
like
yeah.
I'll play a game until I've had as much enjoyment out of it as I could, or even if I'm still enjoying it, but something new comes up that I'm interested in playing, then I move on to the next game in a sense. And with Destiny, I feel like right now, like everything that's on the disc, like I've seen basically everything that the game has to offer
Right.
at this moment. And then we've got the raids coming, and I'm really interested to see how that all works out. Hopefully I can manage to get my whole team organized at the same time and put 2 hours into it, but we'll see. And the life of the game is really going to fall on that stuff of whether or not those raids are different and interesting enough for me to want to put the time into coordinate and do those things as opposed to playing something new. And there's a lot of stuff coming out that I want to play. So we'll see what happens. Like I really think once Master Chief Collection comes out, Destiny for the time being will probably be put on the back burner because I'll be into the Forge, messing around with that. I'll have my multiplayer stuff that I enjoy playing there. The Crucible isn't really for me. I'm not really a big fan of the way that game mode is set up at the moment. So I think I'll be playing it for the next few weeks for pretty regularly, and then I'll move on to whatever is the next big game.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we're approaching 2 hours, so we're gonna have to call it quits. But I think we all have lots more to say and lots more. There's lots more to talk about with Destiny, and I think that we'll probably have more to say about it. At the end of the year when we look back at what happened over the year. But what I'll say as far as me personally with the future of the game, I really wasn't sure. So I've been hyped on this game for over a year. So I've already been wanting to play it forever. And it's kind of surreal playing it right now after following it for so long. But I gotta say that I am pleasantly surprised that I am way more into it than I thought I was going to be. And I actually plan on playing it for as long as I can. This will probably be my new obsession, my World of Warcraft. It'll be up there with Halo as far as games that I've just am in love with, and I look forward to seeing how they support it. I have no doubt that there will be content for days and months and years, but I'm curious to see how the universe expands. This is a planned approach from Bungie to recreate the success of Halo and its expanded universe. but one up it. So I'm really curious to see what the rest of their plan is, because for me, Destiny is not just this game, it is all of the things around it. So I look forward to seeing what a book looks like. I look forward to reading more and more of these Grimoire cards and learning more about the lore and the universe, and seeing how well they support something like that. You know, if they do this right and they play their cards right, especially the way Hollywood is right now, we could see a Destiny game movie by 2020 in my mind. So whether or not that actually happens, I'll be eager to see. But thank you everybody for tuning in live. Everybody over at twitch.tv/ratedm for podcast. If you'd like to join us live, you can check us out at 8 p.m. Eastern every Sunday night over here on Twitch. Please follow us, and then you'll get notified when we go live. Follow us on Twitter at ratedm podcast. You can go join our community at facebook.com/groups/ratedm for ratedm for podcast, and keep an eye out. I mentioned DMF Gaming Network before. That's going through some changes, and we're working on setting up the actual URL to be ratedmgaming.com. So that will be something that's coming in the future. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Please rate us on iTunes. That'll help us kind of surface and be easier to discover. And if you missed this Twitch broadcast and you don't want to listen to us on the audio version, you can check this out at youtube.com/ratedm for podcast. And I think that's about it. Do you guys want to drop some Twitter handles?
Sure. You can follow me at N2 and other. That's the letter N, the number 2, the letter N, the word other, N2 and other. And that's also my PSN and gamer tag. So shoot me an invite. I got room on my list for more people, especially on PS4, where I'm looking for people to possibly raid with.
Yeah, let's
apparently.
get some more people in the clan. We need way more PlayStation guys in our clan. So please come join our clan and set it as your PlayStation clan, so we can get some more guys involved there. Rory, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Red Eye Games Live, or or you can also find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Red Eye Games Live as well. Before we go, though, Drew, I'd like to just hear your arbitrary number. If you were to give Destiny a rating like today, what would you give that game?
Destiny is a solid 9, in my opinion. Very much a 9 out of 10. Sean, what's your number?
Probably 8.5. I don't quite think it's because I gave Titanfall a 9 and I gave Wolfenstein a 9. I don't quite love it the way I love those games for different reasons, but I do think this. You said you love this game. I am very much in like with this game. Yeah. Like I like this game a lot.
I did kind of the same thing in my mind when I look back. I gave Diablo 3 earlier this year when they patched it and kind of fixed it, right? Before Reaper of Souls came out. I gave that a 10 because in my mind that just completely made a great game into the perfect version of what that game should be. And I'm enjoying Diablo 3 2 years later way more than I did when it first came out. In my mind, I don't think I'd be playing this game 2 years from now and enjoying it as much as I am now, as it is. Granted, obviously they're supposed to put a lot more stuff to it. I think if they do patch it and they do listen to feedback and they do implement things like what you're talking about, Rory, with making things just super seamless, making it more user-friendly, making it easier to get in and out of and get in touch with people. Clan support for me in this game is great that it's there, but it's just it's empty. So in my mind, it's not
really there.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you got a cool thing. Anyways, in my mind, I think this is on its way to a 10, but right now it's a solid 9 for me. So Rory, what would you rate it?
I'd throw it in at an 8 probably now. And again, like I feel like when I'm going to be talking about Destiny over the next few weeks too, it's going to come off more with a negative slant, but like it's not taking away from.
I want it to be better because I love it. like.
Well, yeah, that's totally the vibe I get.
Yeah.
It is like I really enjoy like getting online when I can with my buddies and like going about and doing random stuff, exploring or strike missions. Like I have a lot of fun with the game. I just have a lot of issues that make me kind of scratch my head with it as well. Mm-hmm. but I would give it an 8, like just based off like the fun, the mechanical aspects there. It looks amazing, it sounds amazing, and it's fun. And at the end of the day, like that's what I want out of my video games is I want to have fun, and Destiny is a lot of fun for me. I just don't think it's everything that it may have been cracked up to be from my perspective. But
Okay.
it's a solid game. I'd give it an 8 right now. That would be my score.
Cool. Well, my suggestion is we get off this podcast and go play some damn Destiny. What do you think?
All right.
All right.
All right.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we will see you guys next week.